What's up?
Oh, just chilling.
Sweet. We're just waiting on Mike to join.
Not
And speak of the devil, it shall appear.
What up?
All
What's
right,
happening?
everybody. Cool. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Mid-Tier Thoughts. Me and Mike are back again today. Hey, so one of you guys is doing something that's real loud. Okay, now we're good. All right. Welcome back, everybody. This is Austin again with Mike on it. This is Mid-Tier Thoughts. Sorry, I'm speaking like a retard
Yeah,
today.
you really fucked that one up.
Yeah, we're gonna take this all out and edit. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Mid-Tier Thoughts. Okay, fourth time's the charm. Welcome back, everybody, to Mid-Tier Thoughts. This is Austin and Mike. Again, we are joined today by Brandon, my buddy here. We're going to be doing some fun stuff. Brandon, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but your Instagram handle, if people do want to find you, is Conceived Conceptual Concepts 6.9, correct?
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right.
Huh?
Yeah.
This guy might
With
be
a period in the middle, man. Yeah. Gotta keep it spicy.
I don't know if I want a 69 with a period in the middle.
Dude, you get your daily iron. That's all I'm saying.
So as you can tell, guys, we're a little bit more lighthearted on this one than we have been lately. We noticed we've been a little bit of Debbie Downers, so buckle up. This is going to be a fun one. We're going to have a good time. So anyway, just some quick housekeeping stuff, getting it out of the way. Again, thank you, everybody, for coming back and listening to us again. Also, thank you for everybody who's been supporting us on the outside. Really appreciate it. So going into this, what are we talking about today? Well, we all know the age-old debate of whether ARs, AKs, or battle rifles are the way to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So what we're
talking right answer is too. So.
Oh,
You're
dude, we do.
You're commie trash, and you're wrong. So we're gonna kick this off. So basically, the way this is gonna look. So Mike is our big AR guy. As I'm a pretty big AR guy, but I've also decided to take the third route here. I'm going to defend the battle rifles. Mike's going to hold down the AKs, and commie trash down here is going to support why you should run an AK. So we're just going to kick this thing off, man. Hey, Mike, what do you want to start and tell us why Eugene Stoner was right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start and end this entire conversation right now within a couple minutes. There's a reason why the entire Western world runs this platform, all right? It's because it is superior, all right? And it just does better in every form and fashion of manageable.
Brandon?
Is that it? I mean, okay.
I mean,
I'm waiting for you to go in, and then I just start debunking all your stuff.
So
throw it in the sand, throw it in the mud.
I'm gonna start with debatable.
Debatable. Okay, let me hear it.
So first off, AKs really don't need oil or any shit like that. So over the last 2 winters in northern Idaho, I have seen 9 ARs go down, even based on having too thick of an oil when it dropped under -5 degrees. So that's a real thing. An AK with a modernization package is capable of doing just about everything an AR can. I have a video on my Instagram showing me hitting 1-for-1 at 100, 200, 300, 400 yards with an AK-47 and 7.62 by 39. They are heavier, but they stand to neglect better. So, I typically clean my guns only, when carbon is leaking out of the sides of the receiver. So, again, debatable.
Okay. Would you say that upgrade kit includes capitalism?
I mean, I'm not debating whether capitalism or communism is better. I think that's already been proven with the hundreds of millions of dead bodies that Marxism has brought to the world. It's just, I think the AK in a lot of respects is just superior to an AR. And that's why every modern country is moving away from DI.
Would you say that's that it's superior? Okay, one of you guys is doing drinking something right next to your mic.
Oh, that's my bad. Sorry.
All right, so leave it to the AK guy.
So with the
Well, yeah.
the dirty rifle running, because I've ran some dirty girls in my day, dude. My
I
AR
bet you have.
suppressed everything like that. I have never cleaned my AR once. It's just
But do
a
you
carbon
oil it?
filthy whore. With that in mind, yes, you do. You know, the piston does have its place in the world. I mean, you can get a piston-driven AR, which is just as good as an AK, if not better, because of the 5.56 now.
Logistically, not so much.
Logistically. Okay, so with the AK in mind, the round is pretty solid. The 7.62 by 39 is, but 300 Blackout has blown it out of the water.
Has it though?
It has. Ballistically, on a standpoint of the like ballistics, so shooting suppressed, shorter barrel platform. With the AK, I think you can shoot it out of like I forget the actual drop chart on that one. I know you can shoot the Draco pretty decent, and the 7.62 round doesn't lose a ton of velocity. But with the 300 Blackout, it's the same deal, and you get better suppression out of it.
So you, again, we're getting into debatable. So like 300 Blackout has some really good points to it. Like capitalism has really worked its
Really
magic
popped
on
off
it. No, it has. So naturally, it's got different loadings, stuff like that. I would argue that 300 Blackout for an AR-15 is probably my favorite caliber for it. Downside
Coming from the AK guy,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well,
7.60 round, 7.60 round.
I mean, out to 500 yards, I'm pretty happy with a 7.62 round. And that's as far as I'd want to go with an intermediate cartridge.
Yeah.
But 300 Blackout, the biggest issue, in my opinion, and a year, 2 years ago, I would have been like, hell no, 300 Blackout's garbage because you can't afford to shoot it that much. I will admit that Palmetto has been making really good movements in that, and I've seen 300 Blackout actually drop down to a reasonable price, but it doesn't change the inherent flaws that the AR-15 has. Like, so again, debatable.
Yeah.
So the only flaw that the AR-15 has is that it's not a G3. The only flaw it has is that it's not an H&K G3 or a PTR-90.
Admittedly, the best Cold War battle rifle from the free world, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it is clearly the MP5 for men. As far as like longevity goes, it definitely has, you know, it's still in use today. Granted, you know, not by as many NATO countries, but
I was going to say, you can't count it if it's just Africa running it.
100% you can, because it's not like, hold on, here's the thing, here's the difference. It's not like they made new ones.
It was made out of a Honda Civic because they
I know, but what I'm saying is like even countries that are running AKs are still actively producing AKs. A majority of the countries in South America and Africa that are running G3s are running the same G3s they got back in the 60s. They're clapped out. They're super rusted, right? They're older than half the population because they're the only thing there that doesn't have a disease, okay? And they still keep on kicking.
So I'm just going to add AK to his argument as well. So,
you're going to add AK?
Yeah, we're just going to tack that on
545 now, right?
You know, yeah. I mean, there is a reason they didn't run 545. Again, like, we're debating platforms, not calibers. We can get into that discussion later.
I mean, it was clearly to be like, oh, hey, America did something right, and Eugene Stoner was basically the smartest man alive.
Yeah, basically, our version of Einstein.
So the cartridge does have its benefits, like carrying capacity. Here's the thing that's going to trump on the battle rifle is time and time again, those who shoot the most rounds win. So it really boils down to like you can carry a shit ton more of these rounds, and so like I would actually argue in forested areas, I really think 7.62 is a better round because of brush deflection and your reasonable distances you're going to be shooting at. I don't think that the 5.56 really shines in those kinds of areas.
So I think the 5.56 shines in those scenarios just in modularity and like team movement and running with your team through those situations. Do I think the 5.56 is the best rounds to have out there? Absolutely. Ask any of the Marines in Fallujah what a 20-inch rifle does to a human body at 100 yards.
I'm not gonna. So Fallujah, yeah. I mean, cool, but brush deflection is a thing. So
yeah,
so
I mean, yeah,
you have to shoot through brush, and we were out just a couple weeks ago, and I want to say there were like 20 rounds of 5.56 out of. I would say we probably, as a group, shot a couple, close to 300 rounds, but 20 of them had hit twigs. There weren't heavy brush. It was just like tree twigs between it and the target, and they came in sideways.
Okay, but what rifles are we talking here? What barrel lengths? What ammunition are they running?
So they were running. Yeah, I mean they were running between a 10.3 and a 16-inch gun. So.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have that no matter what. If you want to hop on that debate, you could even go from like 9mm to 45. Yes, the 45 is a big, heavy, fat round that tends to like brush deflection is not going to go as far with it. When the 9mm probably will, but we all know ballistically we're all running 9mm.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, like we just got into the cartridge discussion, but like,
I mean, yeah, you could argue a 5.56 AK, right? So like,
yeah,
I feel like
same exact deal.
Isn't really the thing we should argue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the 5.56 AK is just the crappiest part of both worlds.
Oh, dude, it's straight up dog
I
aids.
second that. A shitty cartridge.
Straight up dog aids. But we're talking the cartridge, so we won't argue that part.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk just about the body, the frame, we're talking modularity, baby. I don't have to get kits, nothing. We're talking M-LOK all the way up, 10.3s, 16s to 20-inch barrels, easy to get, very. And the DI, the gas-driven system, I have always had great luck with. Now, I'm sure there are people out there that haven't had the best, that run like a PSA or something, and their gas flies off or something. And
yeah,
there's horror stories for each.
So basically, you're spending a bunch of money to get your rifle the way it is. So like a grade A AR-15s between $1,300 and $2,000, right in that ballpark.
Yeah,
sure.
So an AK, let's say Palmetto, I hate to say, is actually one of the better AKs on the market right now. You get $1,000 Palmetto. You get a Sure Shot chassis on it. You're at $1,700. You're right in that same ballpark. Same modularity, at least ability to attach equipment, all that stuff. You're right there with it.
I do think it's funny where it used to be back in the day. You'd be like, oh, I got a $600 AK and a $600 AR, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be like, oh no, you got a $600 AR. You know, I mean, a $600 AR. I mean, or people would think like, one of them is going to blow up. Nowadays, if you flip it the other way, and it's like, oh, you have a $600 AR. Your gun's probably going to blow up, and your AK had better be $600.
Yeah, dude, the market's flipped. I bought my first AK. It was a Wasser for $300 out the door with 1,000 rounds in. Like,
jeez, dude, that's almost Mosin prices.
Dude, and the weird part is that AK with Barnall ammo was like a 1.5-inch gun. Like all day. It was so weird. And then the next Wasser I got was like a 6-inch gun. It was terrible. So
I will say, I think that's one of the downsides of the AK is that with the AR, right, you do have the mil spec. So like everything for the most part, barring a few quality control issues here and there, can be swapped across the board. However, when it comes to AKs, you basically have to be a collegiate professor of AKs to make sure that the part you're buying actually fits your gun.
Yes, to a degree. The safest bet is to get AKM pattern, because that's the longest standing pattern. It's what all the U.S. companies make their guns out of, except for Kalashnikov USA. It's just like every company that makes parts makes them for AKM pattern. So just get that.
Or you go to J&G sales, you bulk buy 300 G3 magazines for 83 cents. Are you like farting into the friggin' thing?
Maybe a little.
All I heard is that was either butt or your stomach, but it was just like a straight rumble.
Sorry, I burped, man. That's my bad. My mic's sitting on my chest.
Yeah, I can like hear your heart palpitations.
Okay, let me pull it off. There we go.
Okay. But yeah, no, like my thing is, it's for a novice coming into either one, right? Obviously, I think the AR is the better choice into that because of the modularity issue, because of the simplicity of changing and upgrading with an AK, and even to a great extent, like my G3, or even some other battle rifle platforms, even if you could go with an AR-10, even that you got to learn the platform a little more and have a little bit more knowledge about what you're actually doing to be able to change things out, modify them, things like that. Like simple example for the battle rifle side. Now, I greatly think I really like my G3. I really like what it can do. I really like the multiple roles it can play. The issue I have is, for example, if I want to suppress it, there are parts of the bolt that need to be replaced, and it changes the angle at which the rollers the rollers operate at to allow it to lock up differently for suppression. They make about 12 different angles of these pieces, and the only way to know which one is the right one is to just start buying your way through them and testing them out.
Yeah.
To make sure it operates correctly. So it kind of becomes a pain in the butt. Now, I would say the similar thing exists with the AK side, where, is this foregrip going to fit my thing? If I get this, gas, like one, do you have a side mounted rail? Do you have a side rail mount? If not, are you doing a forward?
Either way, you should throw it in the trash. But
yeah, it's like, do you have a side rail mount for your AK? Or are you mounting your optics forward like on a railed gas tube? Or are you doing it on, a replacement rear sight or a dog leg? And then, okay, cool, you found the part you want. Which pattern do you have? Oh, you don't know? Congratulations, good luck.
Yeah, to a degree. The companies recently have actually been doing a really good job of like, what rifle do you have? And they have like fitment lists on all their parts. So, like, let's say you have a Yugo pattern M70. Like, on that list of what it fits, that'll be there. Or let's say you have an AKM pattern, that'll be there. Say you have a really weird, funky thing, like a micro Draco, because those things are fucking weird. But it'll have that on that list. So you won't have to really try and navigate that hellstorm that is the AK world. The weird part about the AK is it's the most widely fielded rifle. So every country puts its little twist on it. And so the AKM pattern was used by most of them, but like you get into the Serbians who for some reason wanted to use rifle grenades on all their guns. They've got ARC PK receivers, bulge barrels, like none of the shit fits. It's weird. They even on their dust cover, they have a locking mechanism so the dust cover doesn't blow off when you shoot a rifle grenade. But the safe bet, AKM and Palmetto, that's all they're making. So it's kind of the one to get.
You know what didn't have to be modified by any country that adopted it?
What?
The AR-15 pattern rifle.
I was going to say, yeah, the AR-15.
I'm pretty sure most countries aren't using AR-15s anymore. Everyone's navigating away from DI. So
well, then a piston-driven system.
Again, like
even with the piston-driven systems, most of the time when they do have a failure, it's an absolute catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, with a lot of the AR parts and pieces, I can field strip an AR, get it in and out pretty quickly. With my piston-driven system that I had for a while, we would try to do like field stripped exercises, things like that. And in order for me to get that up and going, new piston in and ready to fire, we're talking totally different time length.
Yeah. And really a big part of this is all the countries moving towards suppressors. But if we're talking about field stripping and fixing an AR versus AK. AK breaks down into 4 parts. So,
Four parts.
it doesn't get much simpler.
Yeah, but for the most part, with like a lot of the ARs, you just carry another bolt with you, and you're solid. Any sort of catastrophic failure is most likely going to happen within that area of the AR.
Yeah.
So carrying the extra parts and pieces for ARs, I do think is a little bit easier. I wouldn't say simpler, but easier. Than carrying basically another AK.
So the major 2 parts I've broken on AKs have been, one, I've broken a firing pin, and I've gone through a few extractors. And so, again, easy fix, carry an extra bolt. That being said, the extractors, one of them, when it broke at, I want to say 22,000 rounds, and one of them was a cheap, I got a Sentry gun for like $400, and that one broke, and I'm just gonna call that Sentry gasms. They're just terrible.
Yeah, chalk that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I haven't had really anything break so far on my G3, which has been nice. Granted, I don't have 22,000 rounds through it, but
God, that's expensive if you did.
Right.
So most of my rounds through AKs was when 1,000 rounds was like $150. So.
Yeah, dude, those were the days, man. When you walk in, when you could buy a box of 7.62 by 39 for cheaper than the energy drink at the checkout counter.
Dude, I ran an AK forever just for that single purpose, just because I would buy thousands of rounds at a time.
So I bought a 74, and I ran that 74 and shot the barrel out because 7M6 was so fucking cheap. Like, it was like $120 for 2,000 rounds. It was wild times.
As soon as 7.62 by 39 hit 223 prices, I just sold it. I was like, nah.
It's still under 223 prices, though. So
it depends on where you go, because I've been
buying
pretty cheap rounds.
2 years ago, now granted, not an AK, but 2 years ago, I had an SKS and probably, I don't know, 600-700 rounds for it, right? And I was in between one job and another one, and there's a little bit of overlap, and I really needed a paycheck in between there, and so on a whim, I put it up on a gun trading website, and a dude immediately offered me $1,300.
Oh, hell yeah, brother.
Oh, that hurts.
And I was like, bruh, I'm pretty sure, like, I'd had the ammo for a long time, like buying it again, like back when it was dirt cheap. And I'm pretty sure I bought that SKS for maybe $300 at a pawn shop.
Oh, man.
Welcome, and I was like,
new country.
For real, I was like, bro.
So the last SKS I bought, I actually bought a crate of 10 of them, and I think it was like $1,100 or something for the crate, or it was like $150 for one.
I remember when Classic Firearms, they had the Yugo, they were either Yugo or Albanian, and they were the Grenadier SKSs, and you could buy
Yugo.
Yeah, you could buy 10 of them. And for in a crate, and the crate came with slings and ammo pouches and all that jazz. And it was like, I think it was like $2,000 or $3,000. And at the time, me and all my buddies were like, bro, we all need to get $300 together and go do this. And then just whoever pays the transfer fee, they get to keep like the cool box. And then we just never had the money together at one point in time.
Oh man!
But I was always like, come on, we got to do this.
So like I'm just remembering back to 2006. That's when I bought my crate. That was quite a while ago. Yeah.
So anyway,
let's talk about the real elephant in the room, because no matter what, you train, you can run any rifle. Perfect. Honestly, it's a matter of personal choice. But let's talk about the real ugly stepsister in the room right now, okay? Trijicon enclosed optic. That thing is horrible. That is horrific. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't even looked, but I'm hurt just hearing about it.
Is this like the Aimpoint Micro, but Trijicon?
Dude, it looks like, I don't even. It looked like they went, oh, Holosun? That's pretty dope. Let's just put some sharp angles on it.
Hang on, let me Google this shit.
Google it. It's AIDS.
Sharp
No.
angles?
No.
Trigicon enclosed optic.
Thanks, I hate it. Oh.
Where?
Did you find it? I think that was the.
Dude,
the
I have
sound.
not yet. What? Austin, can you send me this garbage?
Yeah, hey, Mike, if you got a picture of it, throw it in that group chat real quick.
Yeah, here, hold on.
Oh, that's so gross.
Dude,
Here.
and what I hate is I love ACOG so much.
I love ACOG. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
It's dog AIDS.
You know, I haven't been impressed with Trigicon's red dots. at
I
all.
love my Trigi. Don't get me wrong. I love my Trigi. Absolutely. But stick to what you're good at, bro. If you're good at one thing, stick to it. Don't change the program because everyone else is becoming cool kids. Stick to what you're good at.
You know, we were just talking about this, about how me and Brandon were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah,
Me and Brandon.
That? You like that shit?
Me and Brandon were on a run the other day, and we were just talking about this. And you know, my Aimpoint Pro is awesome, and my Trigicon MRO, like, it's rugged and it's reliable, but the parallax on that is
it's horrible.
Dude, it's tragic. It's terrible.
I was so stoked when they came out because I liked ACOG so much. I bought 2 of them.
MRO?
Yeah.
The MROs.
Oh, R.I.P. Bo. R.I.P.
And yeah, and I shot them.
What
And
a free guy.
I no longer own either of them. Let's just put it that way.
I'm a straight up hype beast. I love hype on things.
Oh, 100%.
I have the Gucciest of all Gucci GHM 9s, totally legal now. With that, everyone was like, "Oh, you guys throw an MRO on it? You gotta throw an MRO on it?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna go broke boy," and I went with the Cyclops, the Prism sight.
Oh yeah. For the
Interesting.
I only have good things to say about it.
Yeah.
that's the primary arms thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Primary Arms seems to be doing good things. I really like their 3 times prism scope. I don't like the mount.
Yeah,
So
that's the one take back I'll say about mine is I hate the mount.
Dude, like the 3 times, actually, I saw one at the shop I worked at, and it had bent. Like, and this guy wasn't like hardcore Henry, like jumping out of buildings and shit, but he literally bent the mount to where it was like canted.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
high
cool.
quality.
Well, maybe it's supposed to be like that cannon sight.
Yeah, it's for your gangster grip, man.
Kill shot.
Now, see, what you're supposed to do is I'm going to invent this new system here. You know, like, everyone's trying to figure out the new operator way of doing things. I'm going to get 2 45 offsets, one in each direction. But instead of 45, they're just going to come up and be right next to each other. So you can shoot with both eyes open.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was thinking you could do like 1 red dot for each load. Like at 12 o'clock, mounted on top of a normal red dot with 2 45s, 1 on each side. Maybe put 1 on a rail too.
That way you have the battery light, like, you put batteries in them at different times. So you all have one of them operating.
Constant.
Yeah,
battery
2
life.
is 1, 1 is none kind of shit. I like
Yeah.
it.
Why carry extra battery?
Yeah.
You know?
They're already in the optic.
Exactly. What are the odds that all 3 of them fail?
But I'm still all day rich boy. I love my EOTechs. I'm so glad the EOTech Flex garbage.
Oh yeah, it's like their mandatory, like obligatory red dot. It's like, hey, everyone else is doing this. We probably should too.
Right. Or we got to show up. You know.
Definitely an afterthought. And of course, they did the Leopold Delta Point footprint, which is like the hottest of garbage. But all the like self-shooting SIG P320s the military got are cut for them. So I think that's why they did it.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Have you guys been seeing those videos? Like, I watched one the other day. Literally, just watched the one where all these cops are in a lobby and they're just like smoking and joking, talking to each other, and then just bam, like, round just goes off.
Yeah,
in the leg.
Hey,
I was like,
dude,
oh,
it's a feature. It shoots before you know you need to. Maybe he was trying to do something fishy.
It's AI. It's AI.
In the pistol's defense, was he wearing black pants?
Well, they're brown now.
Stop resisting.
What pistol was he running? Was it a Glock? What was it?
It's a SIG 320, bro.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Like, have
No.
you not seen the hype lately?
No, I've seen all the hype lately, but it was like I saw one that Lucas, I think it was Lucas Bakken that posted it, or it could have just been a meme group I'm a part of. But it was like a fat dude, like the typical like fat meme guy, and he was like crying about the 320 not going off, and it said, "You really are supporting $1 billion company right now. You know that, right?" Like he's crying about $1 billion company.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it kind of reminds me of when I was young and a goth, and I shopped at Hot Topic, saying, "Hey, I'm non-conformist." Fucking owned by Gap, like fucking.
There's no way I can imagine you as being a goth.
Oh, 100% bondage.
Dude, he
pants
runs
and everything,
AKs.
bro.
He runs.
I know, and half the time I have a neck beard, dude. Like it's a real thing.
Just
Oh
neck
my-
beard and bangs, dude. Hell yeah.
Dude, no wonder you're an AK guy.
I mean, they're real guns.
Did you
They're
wear?
not-
Did you have like a bunch of like red scarves and just hold your fist in the air a lot?
No, but I had a red streak through my hair, and I dyed it black. And the world was against me, man.
No.
Just-
But
When I was a young boy, my father
Oh yeah.
bought
yeah.
me an
hey,
AK.
hey, that's where I draw the line. That's a bop right there. That's a song. That's where I draw the line in the sand.
Sheesh.
But 100%, dude. If you guys really think defending these huge corporations like SIG and stuff is going to make you feel better, shut up. They don't care about you. Their barrels bend.
Yeah.
They do things. Their pistols go off. Every company's got downfalls. They have their faults. And they have their problems. But you supporting this multi-billion-dollar corporation isn't going to change anyone's mind to like it more.
You
Well,
know,
I mean-
I'm gonna say it's big brain time. They're using all their customers as their T&E department.
Honestly, you
Yeah,
get
well,
enough
I mean,
people-
Capitalism.
I just love the fact. I just love the fact that, like, you know, and me and Mike used to work at Against Door too, and we kind of called it. We were like, hey, what are the odds that like SIG adopts all these new platforms? I mean, the SIG gets the military to adopt all these new platforms, and then they don't work. So since they're already locked in, SIG has to perform all the maintenance, furthering their finances. Sure enough, what happens, right? SIG
yeah.
adopts all the new rifles and the new pistols. And they're like, oh, it's going to be so sick. We're going to have it 6.8. It's going to be belt fed. It's going to be so cool, guys. It's going to be so awesome. You're going to love it. And then like they're like, cool, we need 100,000 of them by tomorrow. They're like, that's not going to happen. And it's in 308.
Yeah. Go figure.
quick,
Shit,
quick. Well,
this 277 SIG Fury it feels like a step back to me, but you know, to each his own.
Because G3 superiority.
yeah, right.
Let's make the guns 13
Also-
pounds.
Since I'm on the topic of battle rifles real quick, can we just acknowledge that the retard that decided to go with the M1A or the M14 is probably, like, in my book, he should be like ranked up there with like Benedict Arnold for betraying our country.
Dude,
by giving
I'm
us
just
such a
gonna
terrible
throw it
rifle.
out there. I'm just gonna throw it out there though. The entire story of the M14 is the biggest. Like, it's the most American fuck you we could give all the NATO countries. Like, oh, adopt our round and we'll adopt the FAL. Oh, you adopted our round? Cool. We're gonna make this M14 anyways. Like,
quick, Marty, quick. We're going back to the heavy ass rifles. That's basically what they did with the army.
Speaking of that, what I think is funny is just a little history nerd with me now. So like the Italian BM59, which is basically an M14.
yeah,
But different.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
30-06, wasn't it? Or am I wrong?
Yeah. So well, no, but what basically
No,
what
it was
happened was
308.
yeah. So basically what happened was immediately after the war, everyone makes M1 Garands, and sorry, 1 second. Okay. Yeah, what happens is sorry, I had something going on in the background.
No worries.
Yeah, so basically everyone had M1 Garands, right? So war's over, they're rebuilding Italy, and America's like, hey, Italy, it's like the late 40s. We've brought you all these M1 Garands here, and all these M1 Garand kit. You can make M1 Garands, pump them out like crazy. You're gonna love it. Italy's like sick, man. They make M1 Garands, they get it all rolling, they're ready, and then as soon as they're ready to like officially field and adopt and get it on a widespread notice, America's like 308 M1A mandatory.
Yep.
And so they're just like, crap, now what? So instead of like remaking new ones, they just that's why they have such a goofy magazine, is because it's
they
still
changed the operod a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the magazine well to make it take these slightly elongated 308 mags, because America was just like, get fucked, nerd.
Yeah. Dude, the most American fucking thing.
I think we should go back to 30-06 because there's no other round that kills 6 or 7 like 16-year-old Japanese children at once.
So see,
I mean, yeah.
When we're looking at this, I just love the fact that, like, going back to the AK AR thing, right? We have ARs in 7.62 by 39. We have AKs in 5.6. And then some Serbian madman is like, let's take a Dragunov and make it an 8mm Mauser.
But the funny thing is, the Serbians, it's actually just a really stretched out AK. Like,
yeah, but like the fact that they were like, what caliber should we use? They're like, the one that just shot at us for the last 4 years.
Well, the Serbians were running 8mm Mauser since before the war. So they had like a huge stockpile of it. And they're like, well, what can we field that's affordable? 8mm Mauser. We have this huge surplus.
That's like the same thing too for me is, again, getting back to now that we've kind of gone to this. The French were also like a big middle finger to all of NATO for a very long time, because everyone's running 308, right? You got the Brits running FALs, most of the Commonwealth running FALs. Everyone else is running that or a G3 or, you know, M14. And then France is over here like, hey, we've got this rifle that we meant to invent in 1944, but we missed the boat because we were kind of invaded. So we pumped it back out. And we'll use our own caliber because they fuck you.
Yeah, you know, like
garbage.
The French, I'll be real, like everything prior to World War II, they were hardcore motherfuckers. Like they wrecked some shit throughout all of history, despite their baguette problem and shit. Like
they absolutely did, but post World War II, they're just garbage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So going back to why G3s are amazing and you guys are wrong. So Rhodesia's a thing, and FALs weren't the only rifle they used.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Rhodesia was a thing. It was definitely a thing that most people try and forget, but it's a vibe. So,
most people try to forget.
Oh man, no, it does amaze me that, like, when I look at certain things like this, but when we were talking about the AKs or the M4 platform, or, you know, AR-15, or even the G3 for that matter, since some countries still run it, we've used these rifles for so long. Like, being in 2023, all of these rifles are 70 to 80 years old, depending on time of production, right?
oh yeah.
And if you think about that, like, realistically, the only thing we've changed is, like, we've kept the pattern of the rifle basically the same and changed either the caliber or, like, some cosmetic features, maybe, like, in the AR's case, a little bit of the gas system. But I mean, you know,
Hang
from
on.
an
Let me mute. Give me a second.
okay. It's actually the opposite of muted. I'm going to take this time to throw out one of our sponsors. So for those who are looking in the North Idaho area for tires, check out IDL Tires, www.idltires.com, or check them out at 782 West Buckles, Hayden Avenue, or Hayden, Idaho. Again, that's IDL Tires for the best price on tires and auto repair in North Idaho. And we're back to it.
Well, hello, guys.
Good commercial.
Hey. So, going back into what I was saying, which I don't remember, where were we?
Yeah, the modernization of the
Yes.
different guns.
Right. Yeah. So the modernization of it, when you think about, like, what we've done with the AK and AR platforms, we really haven't changed a ton of them in the overall essence of the gun, right? We've changed, from the M6, from the original M16 to the M4 platform. We've really kind of changed, like not a ton in overall operation of the weapon. We've shortened the barrel. We've changed some cosmetic features, tweaked the gas system a little bit. On the AK side of things, we've changed the caliber and tweaked a few other minor things. Same thing with some of the 308 battle rifles that are still out there. And the thing that gets me about it is, if you think about this, the time that those rifles have been in service is the equivalent to, like like I said, we've had them for like 70-ish years across the board, right? Yeah. So I mean, that's like invading Iraq in 03 with Springfield 03s.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing too, is like, low key, we're talking trash on like the spear and things like that. We are technically just FUDs.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like, that's the thing that, it's like, as much as we talk trash about the spear, it is kind of the future of something, like seeing new things that could come out.
Mm-hmm. And the difference between it is pretty minimal, which I think is interesting. Like, the spear, what's the difference between that and like an AR-15? The gas operation system, for the most part. So like, we're still using the same thing, and I think that comes down to warfare really hasn't changed that much. Like the need for small arms in the past 100 years.
Yeah. I mean, you look at different like actual projectile shotting things, like the Tomahawk missile, things like that. The slowly, ever so slowly, the world and all the nations and everything like that are coming to the realization that what wins wars is just technology.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you still have to have people to hold the ground. You still have to have people to take the beach. But I think overall, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I think the biggest thing moving forward isn't so much the weapons. I think it's the force multipliers on the weapons. Mm-hmm. So like thermal sights, scopes, rangefinders, laser aiming modules, all that stuff moving forward is going to advance. I don't know that rifles are going to go that much further until something drastically changes. So,
Plus, like the ability to fight at night, everybody's moving to this new version of war where everybody fights at night, because that's when you are less likely to get hit. You're less likely to get shot. But it's going to become where it's just the standard practice of fighting is to fight at night.
We don't own the night as Americans anymore. So
no, I was gonna say that used to be our slogan for a long time. Is like, especially in the war in Afghanistan, was we own the night, and now it's more like we kind of have a stock in it, maybe.
It's just a force multiplier at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although, speaking of night vision, I'm still anxiously awaiting HoloSun to come out with some PVS 14s for like $800 because.
Because the Taliban sold China a bunch of that shit.
Dude, I'm just waiting for SHOT Show 2024 for them to be like, all right, brand new HoloSun's lineup, night vision. You want it? We got it. How much is it? $600.
Dude, night vision is like still, don't get me wrong, a huge thing that everybody needs. But like having white phos and like green phosphorus is becoming like a thing of the past. Like the new outlining material, the way that they can edit, like the thermal capabilities, all that stuff is like night vision is slowly becoming like less of like a night vision kind of deal and more of like, how can, instead of being able to see at night, I be able to identify everything out to 1,000 yards.
Have you seen the new system the Army came out with?
Mm-hmm.
With that, where it's like integrated night vision and thermal and outlining type stuff, like you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
the coding process.
Yeah, you look at it and everyone's like all neon outlined and crap, like some kind of weird, funky video game. Like that is gnarly, man. Like that's the crazy thing is like, like you said, it's getting to the point where like just having, it used to be like, okay, man, you've got like some Gen 2 green night vision that you got on a discount, and you found you built your own PVS 14, or you found some cheap Gen 2 pluses. Like they're not the top of the line, but they'll get you by. And it's getting to the point where even that is going to be like looked upon in a similar way to like digital night vision, where it's just not going to be able to keep up.
So I'm going to be honest. I think in the next 10 years, analog night vision is going to pretty well go away. Like we're not quite there yet, but I think in another 10 years, because there are some companies really pushing the advancement of technology, I think in a decade, we'll see that kind of surpass analog. So,
Yeah, I think digital in the future will, or in the near future, will definitely replace analog over time. But I think, like you said, we're just not there yet. I think we're getting better. And for anyone listening too, I just want to throw this out here. The company, like, what is it, Psionics, that does the night vision
Aurora,
cameras? Yeah, that is not a Nod. That is a
No.
fancy camera that has night vision capabilities and a pretty fast refresh rate. But I've seen people try to run them as Nods, right? And to that, I'd say, if you don't want to take my word for it, check out Brass Facts, check out Hopophile on TFB TV. They both have videos of where they put this out, where they've run them through the test and they beat the crap out of them. They are really fancy cameras. And just like cameras, they are way more prone to breaking than even something like, a lower grade PVS 14 that's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Things like that, or like the analog is just built to last longer. Just don't be that guy. And
It's not just as good, guys.
yeah, I gotta throw this out here too. I know there are some people that see like the cheaper Amazon digital night vision cameras. They look like binoculars, or they look like PVS 14s. And I understand if you're thinking like, oh, well, it's better than nothing. In some cases, depending upon what you're doing, if it's nothing high speed, maybe you're right. For the majority, though, I'd say you're still wrong. I'd say that $60 to $200 that you spent on trying to save some money and get like some kind of, cheap digital night vision thing, you probably could have just saved up towards putting a down payment on some night vision.
So I'm going to go out there and say, I think in the near future, thermal and night vision are both important. If you have sub $2,000, I'd say invest in thermal. Just because you'll be able to spot things like in the dark, regardless, there's something living there, and there, right? Whether the quality is there to be like, oh, that's a bad guy. Probably not. But you at least can identify them. Whereas if you get like a digital night vision unit, it's not going to do what night vision's good at doing, which is actually navigating and moving in the dark.
Dumb question for you. I haven't experienced too much with messing with thermal and like targeting systems. Will it respond? I mean, like, will you be able to use like an infrared laser like you would with night vision, or any type of, or be able to see through optics at all, or anything like that? Or are you just getting the ability to see?
You can get like clip-on thermals, which actually would probably be the route I'd go. Sub $2,000, something that can mount in front of your scope. So you use your scope as the aiming module, and the camera-based stuff with the clip-on thermal will give you a picture to aim at. And I think that's the best route to go. Of course, you can go crazy. You can get one of the iRays, and those things you can borderline walk with. Like, it's not there where night vision is, but it's if you walk real slow and careful, you can actually navigate with. So,
yeah. What I see a lot of people running them right now is because they're running like white phos in the right eye, and then like your thermal in the left eye. Reason being is you could still use your right eye to use like your EOTech and your laser, things like that, but you still have the thermal capability in both.
I tried that, and it just about gave me an aneurysm. My brain was not combining the two images. I've had a few friends try it, and it didn't work so well for them either. Not saying it doesn't work for certain people, but like I want to say like 4 or 5 people tried it, and we all about stroked out on the range. But what I did like about it is you could flip it up and down. So like you can navigate, and then when you stop to survey the area, you drop the thermal down and survey, lift it back up, continue moving kind of deal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't quite like this perfect like symbiosis. Like I literally stroked out. Like I had a headache through the next day trying to run it for like 20 minutes. So
do you guys remember seeing that HoloSun like EOTech knockoff that they had, that they were talking about was going to have night vision and thermal capability?
Yeah, with their 80-meter range. Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, is that all it was? Was 80 meters?
Yeah, it's coming
Jeez.
out. But
It's still a
But
thing.
I'm just wondering, like, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, the ability to incorporate that into like a nod capability, to where instead of having two separate things, again, I think going to the future with the digital, the potential to have those two integrated into a similar unit to where you could be able to, hey, I want nods. Hey, I want thermal. Hey, I have the ability to overlap.
I think yes and no. Like the biggest issue with having nods and thermal on your rifle as opposed to on your head is wherever you look, your muzzle is pointed towards. So
Well, that's what I mean.
think
Is like
there's
that's what I mean is integrated into something like a new version of like a PVS 14 or something.
Yeah, that's
Like
where I think digital moving forward. It would be easy enough to slap a thermal on with the digital, and the software could combine the two images pretty easy. So,
that's one thing too. I got to touch on real quick too that I think is funny is a lot of people talk about the idea with night vision that when you have either an IR or you use like an illuminator or whatever, right? I've heard people make the argument like, oh, well, it's basically like a floodlight or if like shining a flashlight to anyone else that's also operating under night vision, right? And I will say, whenever I first like heard those arguments before a couple years back, it made sense to me to where it was like, what are the odds of you actually running into somebody else running night vision, depending on the scenario you're planning for? Because a majority of the population is not going to have it, right?
Oh, 100%.
But now, though, that you have groups like Credova and other places making it possible to finance nods, because it was always a barrier of entry for having, $3,000 lying around, right?
Oh, 100%, man.
But now that you got people who are like, hey, you could make $57 payments till you die, and pay 2 kidneys in interest, and people are like, shut up and take my money.
So, keep going.
I think that kind of, starts to make it to where now everyone is hopping on that board on that train. I kind of think of it back like, in the early 2010s with body armor, right? Like when body armor was and plate carriers were really starting to become like real big, there weren't a whole lot of companies you could go to get good armor. Like that's the whole reason why AR-500 exists.
Yeah.
Is because the only thing you could do to get affordable armor was to buy steel, right? And then everybody started making armor. And then it was like, I remember people paying $1,200 a plate for Sappy plates. And now you can go on to, RMA or any defense company, like even the places like LA Police Gear or whatever, and get, a level 4 Sappy plate. You can get 2 of them for $300.
Yeah.
And because everyone started doing that. Now I'm curious to see too, with kind of this rise in availability for night vision, what that might do to the market of it, to see if things might get cheaper over time.
So,
and if more companies will get into it to make more variety.
I would hope so. The main struggle is the process for making those tubes is extremely expensive, complicated, and difficult. So, the main concern for me on that route, I think we're going to see that once digital gets there. I think we'll see a major drop in night vision, but I don't know if we'll see it based off of the analog tubes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that develops.
Oh, for sure. And I'll tell you, around here, which Pacific Northwest, I worked at a shop that sold night vision, and we would sell a unit every week to 2 weeks, just in a smaller city. So there's a lot of people buying knots, and that's just out of the shop. So
yeah, it's and that's the other thing too. I think it's interesting is your experience behind the gun counter in Northern Idaho, and me and Mike's experience, half an hour across the line in Eastern Washington. I think is really interesting to see the difference too, because I think we started to carry night vision towards the end of my time there, but we didn't really sell a whole lot of it.
Interesting.
A lot of just not having the money.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Not having
And-
the money, and also
Well-
you got to think of the mindset of the people and the different.
Oh yeah, they've got
Yeah.
their like 30 Rock Island shotguns, and they can't afford
Yeah.
night vision. Yeah,
Oh, exactly. You know, the guy that comes in and sees some obscure, 870 from whenever, and he's like, "Oh, I got to pick up one of those because great grandpappy had one."
oh, 100%, man.
That's the 35th shotgun you have,
Yep.
and it's like, dude, you could have bought nods. Wait, then you're like, oh, I can't afford those. Who can afford that? And like, I don't know,
Yeah.
35 870s.
Yeah, like the mindset is different for sure.
Yeah.
Like people around here, like they seem to see a need for it or a want for it, and they're motivated to buy it. Like I know for me, like I was that guy who bought a bunch of surplus guns. Like I had like 3 safes full of them, and I lost most of them in my first divorce. But like when I decided to get serious and buy nods, I ended up selling a bunch of guns to buy it. Like I'm like, I don't need this full safe of guns. I'll just sell them.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are starting to do that.
Yeah, I think me and Mike have talked on the show a little bit about how gun culture has changed, and I think it is really interesting to see how much gun culture has changed from more the idea of like, oh, well, I'm a hunter or I shoot for fun, kind of thing. And, in 2012, if you had a plate carrier, a rifle, and a bunch of mags, and you were prepping for doomsday, there was a small number of people that would be like, yeah, all right. And a good number of people that were like, okay, this dude's a little weird, whatever, man. I'm just going to go shoot my 22 at some pop cans. And nowadays it's almost the opposite. Nowadays it's like, if you're in the gun community and you don't have food, water, medical, you're going to classes, you're training all the time.
The whole gun belt. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
then
there's
you're the weird guy.
I think there's a certain number / year we can thank for that called 2020. It's also perfect vision, but it was a pretty awful year. So
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see like how many people really pulled their head out there, and we're just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
holy crap!
dude,
You
I
know?
Well, my big
remember-
thing is I just know it's inevitable. It's gonna slowly die out, and it's gonna turn back to the okay. Let's shoot pop cans at a 200 yard. Well, I mean, look at Granthem's videos towards 2020 to now. It was very like you need to train, you need to do this, you need to become excellent shooters, and a lot of the people have become more of a cool. It's like, can you hit a pop can with a 22 at 1,000 yards? Things like that.
So I think yes and no. So like I think a lot's gonna ride on 2024.
Yeah,
So the political parties, both of them, one in particular, I'm not gonna get political, but they're getting noticeably more and more violent.
I'll say
And-
you can get political on here. We do that all the time.
okay.
Oh,
okay,
I don't
cool.
have.
Yeah,
I don't have
didn't
enough
know, but,
time to get
like-
political. We are at like an hour.
Yeah, so like riots in the street, shootings, like Seattle just last week had 4 people shot, like in a street race like gathering.
Mhm.
And like it's getting worse and worse, like the lawlessness. And I'm seeing more and more people being like, hey, I want a gun. Like even now, like in the more liberal cities, I'm saying, like my aunt lives in Bellevue and she's like, oh, I might want a gun now. And she's always been against them. So
Yeah, it is interesting to see how much the culture is changing, and
I'm glad
know.
we're getting away from hunting rifles. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Low key, it is getting on a little long, so I do need to call it here. I think.
No
Okay,
worries,
man.
my guy.
Mhm.
We wrap this up. Thanks everybody for listening. Again, this has been Mid-Tier Thoughts. For all you guys that have been following along so far, thank you. Again, thank you, Brandon, for taking the time to come join us and let us trash talk the crap out of AKs on you for the first half.
I mean,
So-
it's okay to be wrong. So
Oh yeah. We're gonna have another one next week.
We know it's okay to be wrong. That's why we invited you here.
oh,
But anyway, thank you for coming on and dealing with us. We'll probably try to have you on again at some point in time, especially since you don't live too far away. But yeah, other than that, thank you everyone for listening. Have a good time. We'll see you on the next one.
No, later, man.
later.
Bye.